relationships are tricky because they start with you, the individual in that relationship. And I had a Reiki session for the first time, a Reiki healing session, where I learned a lot of truths about myself and about the past relationships that I've been in, and about why I allow certain things to enter into my life. I was dealing with some trust issues of men from an experience that I had with my parents' divorce, actually. In the way that it was given to me, made me untrusting of men. Now, my parents didn't divorce for anything like super crazy or anything, weird. There was no like fighting, so I never got to see any of this. I literally thought they were together for a long time, and one day my aunt called me and was like, "How are you dealing with the divorce?" And I was like, "Maybe you should call me more," because I didn't even know they were divorced. And that was the mind trip that happened in my mind. So at the time when that happened, the way I dealt with it was being like, I don't know, that's not me, that's them. Because I felt like they didn't take the time to tell me or be truthful with me and being honest with me in the moment. Instead, they created a false reality for me and my sister. I'll speak really for me though. For me, to try to make us happy, and give us the perception of a good home, which was great. I love them for that. Whatever decision they made that decision out of love, for us to make sure that we can be great. But what it did for me in my mind was, me and my father are so close that it immediately made me, I guess, untrusting of all men. If like my dad could not tell me the truth about what was really happening, when in actuality all my life we've been so honest and open with each other, it hurt. But I didn't think it hurt. So I went through life, we're great, we're fine. But in this session, she found that suppression of that pain, of that untrusting of men in my knee. She found that there. Now, it was a wake-up call because I could instantly go back and retrace to my first real relationship when I was in college. And my ex at the time would be like, "You're always putting your parents' divorce on me." And I'd be like, "No, I'm not. I'm just frustrated with what we're doing right now." But I wasn't. I was putting the divorce on him. I was putting that stress, this untrustingness of men onto him. And I continued to do that. I continued to put that onto the next person who I was with too, but in a different way. Instead of not trusting and just going with that's what I did. Instead of not trusting, let me go back. In my untrustingness, what I adapted to doing in relationships was keeping quiet, not voicing my opinion, allowing things to just happen the way the man in the relationship wanted it to happen. So, what does that mean, Kiara? That means that I went into the relationship just being like, "Oh, it is what it is." Bad mindset. It is what it is allows anything to happen. It is what it is doesn't allow the person who you're in a relationship to know what you really are looking for in a relationship. It doesn't allow them to know if you want this to be something long-lasting, fulfilling, great, or if you want it to be something that's just, hey, this was one great time and we were together and it was awesome. A fly-by-night type of situation. It doesn't allow anyone to understand what is really happening. And I know for me, I used to think that not speaking on what I wanted was the right thing because I didn't want to put any fear into the guy's head, like, "Oh, this girl is just trying to, I'm still young, like da-da-da-da." But no, I actually had one of my best guy friends / a guy who I used to be with tell me that about myself. I asked him, I was like, "Yo, what am I going to do? What do I do going into these new relationships? Like, how come I can't start a relationship? I don't even know how to do that." And he was like, "Yo, you got to tell them what you want." He's like, "You never told me anything. You never told me anything, and when we discovered what it was too late because we had already done so much damage. And what I have learned is that because I was untrusting, I was just allowing things to happen because at the end of the day, I didn't trust that this would be something real or lasting. I didn't allow myself to trust that because of the untrustingness I developed from a failed relationship, from coming from a family of a lot of failed relationships. I don't really have a strong power couple, to admire directly in my bloodline and be like, wow, look at that. You know what I mean? Look at that. That's what I want. But I know in my mind, heart, body, and soul that is what I want in this life, and I will do anything to make that a possibility for me, my future husband, our future kids, our future family, and to bring that into my family, to allow that love to relive again, because it's never too late for anybody. And I had to have that real conversation with my father to understand that, to be able to let it go. We had to talk it out. And I thank him so much for really living in that moment with me and allowing us to both breathe, inhale, and exhale it out and know what the reality now is. And know that, no, it didn't hurt us forever. If anything, we are stronger from that. Our bond is tighter now because that truthfulness, that honesty, that trust has been reestablished. And now I can go into these next relationships that I make with that trust, with that honesty, with that understanding, with that love. But it's hard because I'm still young and I'm still dealing with a lot of young individuals and even the older ones who are still just wanting to have fun, or maybe not accepting, or they haven't figured out what it is in their lives that allows them to not really fully love and give love. So it makes it tricky because I allow people to give me pieces of themselves because I love whole things, but I accept partial love because that's what I've conditioned myself to doing. But no longer does that partial love feel good to me. No longer do I find that fulfilling at all. I can't allow myself to receive partial anything anymore when I am a person who exudes love at its fullest capacity to everyone I encounter at all times. And it's hard because you're habitual. Us as people, we are habitual. So I'm used to doing certain things, and no longer when those things happen do I feel guilty or bad or like, man, why did I do that? Rather, I feel like, why did I just allow an energy into my space that I've been trying to release? That I've been working consciously to release? Well, now that I've let those energies into my life, I must address them. I must come clean, and I must be truthful and speak only from the heart. I'm going over here in this chakra right here because this is where the truth comes from. Okay? And only from here, from this truth, must I speak, or I must not. And I'm learning this. And it takes time to really figure out what this is and what that means, but we'll get there. I'll get there. Now I know what it is that I want and I'm proclaiming it. I just need to learn how to shelter my heart in a way that is going to save it for that person who is going to cherish it the way I know it needs to be cherished. Who is going to give me that push, that strength that I need to help continue to fuel my fire, and who is going to accept and feel my love the way that it needs to be accepted and filled. And we're going to thrive off of that. So when you go into relationships, I have learned and am learning that it is very important to be truthful, be honest, and don't hide away from what you know you want this to be. Don't say, oh, you know, it's all too early to this, to that, to this. I mean, if it's too early to talk about the relationship, but you're already having sex, well, that's backwards. Unless it was a one-night stand, and hey, I'm not mad at you for that. Some people need to get one off. That's a people thing. But you can't allow that to be what fuels the rest of the relationship. And be afraid to talk on what you really wanted when y'all already have done the most intimate thing you could do with one another. So, you know, it gets tricky.